I'm going to start off this video by acknowledging a victory in my life, which is the fact that, in many of the previous What Sold videos, especially from the summer, I talked about some really sad and low numbers. And the numbers in today's video, which covers 2 weeks of sales, are actually pretty good. They're covering the first half of September, and although they're still nowhere near where they were like last year during this time or even the year before that, they're better than they've been in the year 2024, and I'm going to call that a victory, so to me. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on a variety of different platforms, and in today's video we're going to be talking about sales across 2 different weeks on platforms like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and Depop. So we're going to jump right in and start by talking about the 2nd of September, which was Labor Day. My first sale was over on Mercari, and it was this pair of Spanx blue jeggings. They were like denim jean leggings essentially, in a women's size medium tall. I did also use words like stretch and casual in the listing title, but those sold for $32 on Mercari. I had $6.99 into them from a Goodwill that is about an hour away from my house. It's a place that I take students once a year because they have rehearsals for like a choir festival in this town. And so while they rehearse, I go out and thrift and just kind of replenish my supply of thrifted clothing for my reselling business. And as a result, my net profit on that sale was $25.01. And throughout the entire video, whenever I talk about net profit, that number does mean that I've already accounted for the fees that any platform may have, although Mercari doesn't charge the seller any fees anymore, and it also accounts for my cost of goods. Also on Labor Day, on eBay, I sold this pair of L'Artiste, I don't ever know if I'm saying that right, by Spring Step Larago leather floral applique wedge sandals in a women's European size 39. This was an interesting and kind of silly sale. So I picked these up at Plato's Closet of all places. And at Plato's, they only had these priced for $7. And that's because oftentimes Plato's will randomly buy something from a consignor that really doesn't fit their aesthetic, like doesn't fit their clientele. And this, I think, is a great example of that. Like, I feel like Plato's Closet, especially in my town at least, is catered more towards like high school and college students. And there are not a lot of high school and college students that are buying, stuff by this brand, and furthermore buying things of this style. But I think Plato's just picked it up, and as a result, they priced it really low at $7. And furthermore, I had a coupon when I went shopping at Plato's this day because I had shopped a lot, maybe a few months beforehand. So I had some sort of coupon that allowed me to take $7.50 off of each item. That's kind of like how the breakdown worked. And so I actually got these for free, I'm saying. And as a result, they sold on eBay for $37.99, but once you factor in shipping and all of that good stuff and eBay's fees, my net profit on those was $32.36. So that's definitely a pro tip when it comes to shopping at Plato's. If you ever find things by brands that they just don't carry very often and that don't fit their clientele, a lot of times those things are going to be a lot cheaper. So I have found things at Plato's Closet, brands like Cabby, brands like Soft Surroundings. I have found really great pieces for really cheap because they realize maybe after the fact that they probably shouldn't have picked this up in the first place, so I'm able to get a good price on that. The next sale on eBay, also on Labor Day, was this pair of vintage Yves Saint Laurent black quartz suede slip-on heels in a women's 7.5. They were made of like a leather or suede, and these I actually got from my mother-in-law. If you've been watching my channel, you know that my mother-in-law often just brings me clothes. I don't even know where it comes from half the time because it's not all stuff that she's worn, but she just gets clothes from random places. A lot of it is really high quality stuff, and then she brings that clothes to me because she knows that I resell clothing online for my side hustle. And so I had these in my house for a long time. Like, something about vintage just scares me a little bit. It takes me longer to list because I don't know as much about it. I have to spend more time doing research. I have to spend more time looking up comps. So I tend to kind of like push it off. And these spent months untouched in my basement, but I finally got around to them and I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and list these. And wouldn't you know it, they sold within like a week or 2 of being listed. I feel like that's always what happens whenever I put off listing something. The moment I list it, it goes like that. So I guess my pro tip in that for you would be just take forever to list your items and then they'll sell really quickly, as if to teach you a lesson. But these sold for $35. They were promoted at 3%. I didn't have any money into them, like I said, and so my net profit on those shoes was $28.03. The next day was September 3rd, which was a Tuesday, and on this particular day, I had one eBay sale, and it was by the brand Mate the Label, which I think is an Australian brand, and it was this black midi ribbed skirt in a women's size medium. It was made of like a tencel and organic cotton blend. I got that at a local consignment store, and I actually got it at the beginning of August, so I had only had this listed for definitely less than a month, which was really exciting that it flipped that quickly, and it sold for $30 on eBay. I only had $3 into it because that particular consignment store that I got it at was having a $3 tag sale, so I had $3 into it, and my net profit on that skirt was $23, which is not bad given the fact that, like I said, it was a really quick flip. And I didn't know anything about the brand Mate the Label. I just thought that the label looked really interesting, so I took the time to, look up some comps. I also thought the skirt was like effortlessly chic, so when I saw that too, I was like, I feel like this is worth looking up, and I'm glad that I did because I learned about a new brand and because that sold really quickly. So moving on to the 4th of September, which was a Wednesday, on Depop, I sold this Theory white long sleeve casual neutral sweater in a men's size medium. I also put the word minimalist in the listing title just because it really is definitely a minimal sweater. It's one of those things that could be in like a capsule wardrobe, and some people are all about that, right? So I picked that up during the same $3 tag sale at my local consignment store at the beginning of August. So I only had $3 into it, and initially I thought I would be able to sell it for a lot more than I did. I ended up selling it for $20 on Depop, but the reason I let it go for so little is because of the fact that when I got it home and, went to photograph it, I noticed that there were a lot of like little spots and stains, and I didn't think that there was enough value in the piece to take the time to stain treat it and do all of that. So I just listed it as was, made sure to take pictures of the stains and disclose those flaws in the listing title. And it still sold for $20 under a month. I did pay for shipping because that's what I do on Depop. And so my net profit on that was $9.80. Had I seen the stains, I probably would not have picked it up at that particular consignment store, but sometimes that's what happens. And I'm just happy to have still made some money on it. So every sale that we've talked about thus far, I had some really good profit. I was making at least $20 per item. That was the first one to break the streak. But we get back into it. We get back into that $20 plus profit with this next sale. And this was also on the 4th of September on Wednesday. I had a sale on Poshmark, and it was this vintage Trachtenboden aus Salzburg purple velvet collar wool cloak coat. It didn't really have a size on it, so I just kind of put one size fits most. This was interesting. I got it at my local Goodwill, and I did get it a while ago. I got it in November of 2023, so I haven't had it for quite a year, but it's close. Like, I've had it for many, many months now, and I probably listed it a little high to begin with. I think I had it listed around like $75, but it did finally end up selling on Poshmark for $50. They only had it priced at $7.99 at my local Goodwill, and so my net profit on that was $32.01. I think I could have gotten more for it had it not been for the fact that, similar to that Theory sweater, when I got it home, I realized that there were a few more flaws in it than I had noticed in the store. Just like a lot of like old vintage wool pieces, there were like the beginnings of holes, or I don't know, there were just parts of, the cloak that were not in the best shape. So again, I just took pictures of those things, noted it in the description, but it still sold for $50 and made me some good money. So moving on to the next day, which was September 5th, which was a Thursday, on eBay, I sold this Garnet Hill printed maxi cap sleeve log and look dress in a women's size extra large. This was made of organic cotton, and this was part of a 30% off sale that I think I started on this particular Thursday, just because I was like, I need to make some more sales. So I picked this up during a 90% off sale at my local consignment store. So I only had $2.20 into this. It sold for $24.49. It was also promoted at 3%, and so my net profit on that was $18.78. Another quick flip, Garnet Hill is one of those brands that is so hit or miss for me, but this one I just felt really good about because of the fact that it had more of that log and look vibe, and it was a little bit bigger of a size. I have had a lot of luck in recent years with anything that is of that log and look aesthetic. And if you are a clothing reseller and it's those different like trends and aesthetics that really trip you up and give you a hard time when it comes to listing, a resource that I would recommend is called Resellers Edge University. Resellers Edge University is run by Kaylee Elaine, who has a wonderful YouTube channel, as well as Trash Pandas. Trash Pandas are Sean and Bethany, and they're also on Instagram, they're also on YouTube, make great content. And basically they've teamed up to create a resource, like a one-stop shop for really all resellers. It's not just for people who are just getting started, although it is great for, you know, that level of reseller as well, but it's also just for any reseller who's looking to step up to the next level. So whether you've been reselling for many years and you're trying to get to the next level of maybe you want to make 10K a month, they're going to help you do that. And part of how they do that is by teaching people how to source clothes, not just based on brands, although they are very knowledgeable about brands, but also by educating its users on what is trending right now and how to attract people to your listings using the correct keywords. And so if you struggle with things like what is log and look, what is cottage core, what is whimsy goth, like if you don't know what some of these terms mean, and that probably also means then that you are missing out on having people find your listings when they go to search these terms. And so if you want more of an education on just what's trending right now, on how to create listings maximally so that as many people who are looking for them will find them, I do definitely recommend this resource. I am a part of it as well. I'm, you know, in the Facebook group. I watch some of the live calls after the fact because usually I'm busy when they're actually live, but it's been a tremendous resource. I have learned a ton and continue learning every day. So if you want to be a part of that community with me, I will have a link for it down in the description below. And furthermore, Resellers Edge University was so gracious and generous to offer me a free month subscription to gift to one of you. So if you would like to be entered to win that month-long subscription, just comment below stating your personal fashion aesthetic. How is it that you dress? And maybe you can't do this in one word. I know for myself, I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to the way that I dress. Some days I feel very boho, some days I feel very preppy, some days I'm very grungy. It just kind of depends on the day. So if you need to, you know, explain it with a long paragraph, that's fine. But that's how you can enter to win, and I will select a winner. So good luck to you. And I do actually have a dress very similar to this that I picked up on the same day by Garnet Hill, I think in the same size. I think they clearly came from the same person, that sold in the next week of sales that we'll talk about in today's video. So like I said, if you know how to write about it, if you're using the correct keywords, it can sell really quickly. So the next thing to sell on Poshmark on the 5th of September was this lot of 2 pairs of shorts by the brand T Collection. T Collection is a pretty popular children's brand. It is more expensive than just your typical, like, you know, Carter's and brands like that you would find at the mall. Certain things like their dresses can do really, really well. These basic kind of shorts, they're not really going to do that much, but because I had 2 pairs of shorts that were the same size, I just went ahead and lotted them together. I believe that they were the somersault short. I think that that's the style name, and they were in a youth girl size 8. So we had gotten 2 of them, I think from someone at my church. My daughter did wear them a lot, but eventually grew out of them. So we sold them for $15 and made a net profit of $12. The next thing to sell on Poshmark was this Old Navy active pair of green athletic high-rise elevate leggings in a women's size 10. These I typically would not list, but I got them in 2022 as part of a 100-pound women's bulk mixed rescue box from ThredUp. I don't even know if they still sell these kinds of rescue boxes, but they used to sell rescue boxes of 100 pounds of clothing. You could get them for men's or women's. I think they even had like 300 pounds. And I remember trying it a couple times, and the women's one was pretty rough. Like there was maybe like 1 or 2 things in there that were pretty good, and the majority of it was kind of garbage. And I really haven't purchased a ThredUp rescue box in a very long time for that reason. I've looked every now and then. Sometimes I'll get some credit and I'll look to see if it's worth picking up a rescue box, but they've also really raised the prices, so it doesn't feel like it's worth it, and I have definitely refrained from getting those big bulk rescue boxes. But in that particular box from 2022, I did get this pair of leggings. I did finally sell them 2 years later for $10. I'm saying I had $2 into everything that was in that ThredUp rescue box, so my net profit was $5.05. You're gonna see, we're gonna spend some time in this like under $10 profit range. It's not the most fun place to be, but that's pretty typical for me as a reseller, is I have some things that sell for my goal price of, a $20 profit or more, but I also have a sprinkling of kind of stinkier sales. So the next sale of the day was on eBay, and it was this Gymboree purple faux fur vest 1-button closure. It was in a girl size medium, or like a girl size 7 and 8, and it was super soft. It really felt like you were just kind of petting a bunny rabbit or something. That sold on eBay for $8.39. Again, I had a 30% off sale running. I had $1.50 into it, and that's because I got this pre-COVID from a friend of mine who was moving, to like a different part of the country. And while I believe she still resells, she just didn't want to take all of her reselling inventory with her. So she sold me everything that she had, and it came out to about $1.50 per item. This, I think, is like one of the very last things that I had from her. And so my net profit was $5.48. And then the next day of sales that we'll talk about is the 6th of September, which was a Friday, I believe. The first sale was pretty great. It was this pair of Nike Court React Vapor NXT HC white, black, and gray tennis shoes. These were in a men's size 9. I actually got these at a local Goodwill. I got them in May, so they'd been listed for just a few months. I have shared many times on my channel before how Nike is overwhelming for me. There are so many different styles, and I don't know, it just kind of all looks the same. Like, I look at a pair of Nikes and I'm like, I don't know, I can't tell if that's special or not. So it's pretty intimidating to me, but when I saw these at my local Goodwill, I was like, okay, they look like they're in really good condition. Let me just look up the style number. And they, Nike, to their credit, does make it really easy to look up the style because of the number that they put on the tongue of, all of their shoes. And you just type that in and it'll spit out what the name of that style of shoe is. And then using the name of the style of the shoe, you can look up comps and stuff very easily. So when I did that in the Goodwill, I was like, these feel like they're worth it, but it definitely felt like a gamble because they were priced at $13.99. And that's a lot more than I'm willing to pay on something that I'm just not very certain about. I'll pay good money for things that I know will turn a good profit. I just sometimes miss the mark when it comes to Nike, but I did it, and these ended up selling for $54.90. Furthermore, I thought it was if shoes sell for over $100, but these sold for $54.90, and I still was able to, ship them out for free, and I think they went to go get authenticated, so I don't really know what happened there, but I didn't have to pay for shipping, and I had charged the buyer for shipping, so I got to pocket that, and my net profit on those was $48.27. So that was really exciting, made me feel really good about myself and my Nike skills, but I know that there will come a day very soon that Nike humbles me yet again. The 6th was actually just like a great day of selling shoes. So also on eBay, I sold this pair of Eric Michael Serena, that was the style name, black leather espadrilles. They were like slip-on shoes in a women's European size 38. So those sold for $26.59. Again, I did have that 30% sale running, and I had picked them up in January of this year at Clothes Mentor. It was my first time there. Again, I had students at a festival. They were in rehearsal, and I went to the Clothes Mentor. It was like a 90% off sale or something crazy like that. And so I only had $4.40 into these, and my net profit was $18.55, which was pretty close to that $20 profit that I'm looking to make. That was my first time picking up that brand. I did have to sit on it for, a good number of months, but I don't know, like definitely something I'd probably consider picking up again in the future. And then the last pair of shoes to sell on eBay on this day was the worst pair. It was this pair of Merrell Realm brown espresso leather lace-up shoes in a men's size 8. These I got at a local thrift store in July of 2022. So we've had these for quite some time. They did sell, as a result of my 30% off sale for $17.49. They were also promoted at 3%. I had $5.99 into them, so my net profit was only $7.93. Merrell can do really well, but mainly if it's like athletic shoes, like hiking boots and things like that, not semi-dress up like I'm going to the office type shoes. I think that's where I missed the mark with this particular pair of Merrells. And then on the 8th of September, which was a Sunday, I had a few sales. On eBay, I sold this Peruvian Connection brown and black Ankara, I think that was the style name, sheer long sleeve top in a women's size extra small. That one sold for $23.99. I had picked it up at a friend's garage sale. She just has, really good taste. This is a friend that used to source a lot, I think still kind of does, but doesn't really like to do the reselling thing. So sometimes she'll do like fairs or like flea markets, things like that. But she'll also sell a lot of her stuff at this garage sale that she does with her mom twice a year. And she always lets me know when she's in town because she knows that I'm going to buy a lot of stuff. So that particular garage sale, I had about $4.77 into each item. And so my net profit on that top was $14.65. Peruvian Connection is definitely one of my favorite brands to resell. I think mainly just because the quality is always really good. And then also on the 8th on Poshmark, I sold this Free People brown beaded eyelet top. It had like flowy sleeves. It was very boxy and it was in a women's size large. I definitely made sure to use the word boho in the title because this was a very boho top. I got this in August at a local consignment store during their $3 tag sale. I showed it in a haul and I remember in the haul being like, I don't know why I picked this up. I'm probably going to have to sit on it forever because it's a basic Free People top. And that was one of the first pieces from that haul that sold. Go figure. So another pro tip is if you want something to sell quickly that you think is not going to sell quickly, just berate it. Like just be mean to it, talk down to it, and it'll sell really quickly. Again, just to teach you a lesson, just to humble you and make you feel like you don't actually know what you're doing. So that item, like I said, I had $3 into. It sold for $25 on Poshmark, which I think was my full asking price, and my net profit was $17. So also on the 8th on eBay, I sold this pair of Bear Paw tan ridgeline leather lace-up outdoor hiking boots in a women's size 6.5. These I got at my local thrift store for $3.99. That was the main reason I picked them up because I was like, oh my gosh, these are really cheap for like hiking shoes. And I was like, I know the brand is kind of whatever, but let's just see what happens. Well, what happened is I picked those up in April of 2023, so I've had them for over a year, so not the best pickup. I probably should have realized that they were priced at $3.99 for a reason and left them behind, but it is what it is. They sold for $20 and my net profit was $15.55. And then the last sale from the first week of sales that we're going to talk about in today's video was from September 10th, which was a Tuesday. And on that Tuesday on eBay, I sold this Eileen Fisher black 100% silk tank. It was like, just one of those shells that you wear underneath like a cardigan or something. It was in a women's size small petite, and I did put words like classic and career in the listing title. That one sold on eBay for $29.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers. I got it at a local consignment store as part of their $3 tag sale. And again, it was listed for a very short amount of time, and I thought I would have to sit on this because it was such a basic piece. But just like that Free People piece, it was one of the first ones to sell because I talked down to it. So, if you're not catching the theme here of how to sell clothes quickly, I'm giving you all of the secrets, okay? But this one I sold, like I said, for $29.90. My net profit was $21.31, and that sold fast. So that particular week of sales, great. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was running a sale on eBay, and I don't know, I was just listing pretty consistently, and it was a good mix of some lower price sales that weren't super exciting, but also some things that gave me a profit of $20 or more. So to start off the second week of sales, we start with the 11th of September, which was a Wednesday, and we start off with a pretty crappy sale, and it was on eBay. It was this Adidas black short sleeve t-shirt, and it said Stay Gold on it, and it was in a youth girl size small. So again, this was something that my daughter had in her closet. She probably wore it like a couple times. This definitely is not the type of thing that she was like super excited about wearing, but it sold for $4. I got that $4 offer and I was like, yeah, this needs to go, because it had been listed for a decent amount of time and I didn't have faith that a stronger offer was going to come in. So I accepted that and I made a net profit of $2.48 because we just had it. I bet I thrifted it somewhere. Also on the 11th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Nike Golf dry fit black pants in a women's size 14. I put words like outdoor and moisture wicking and activewear in the listing title. That sold on Poshmark for $21. I believe that was an offer sent out through Posher VA, which is a Chrome extension that I use to send out offers and to share my closet and stuff like that. I had $4.55 into it from a local consignment store. I got this last summer, so I got it in July of 2023, and my net profit on that was $12.25. So on the 12th of September, which was a Thursday, this is when I sold the second Garnet Hill dress. Remember I talked about how I had purchased 2 Garnet Hill dresses at the same consignment store tag sale in the same size, very similar style, still that like login look aesthetic, and they both sold very, very quickly. So this one sold on Mercari, and it was a gray paisley print cap sleeve login look maxi dress. It was also in a size extra large. This one sold for $30 on Mercari. Remember, I had $3 into it from a consignment sale, tag sale that I went to at the beginning of August. And so because Mercari doesn't put any fees on the seller anymore, I made a net profit of $27. So that was really exciting because it was a quick flip, but not as exciting as my next sale. Holy cow, I was so excited about this. So on the 12th of September as well, on eBay, I sold this pair of new with tags Lululemon black city sleek 5-pocket wide leg Utilitech pants in a women's size 32. So I initially thought that these were men's, but I think that they were women's. I don't know. I said women's size 32. That's all I know. I don't know what they ended up being. But they sold for $99.99, and they sold really fast. I got them August 24th, so they'd only been listed, like a week or two. I had got them at the 70% off sale at Plato's Closet, and so I had $16.50 into them, which felt like a lot, but I knew that I'd be able to sell them for a good amount, and my net profit was $68.25. If I could do that all day, I would, but I don't find stuff like this very often. And I was just really shocked to see this on the clearance rack at Plato's Closet. I'm not shocked, though, that it didn't sell for their full asking price, because they were asking a lot for that. And then on the 13th of September, which was a Friday, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Saucony Gray Cohesion 13 athletic lace-up running shoes. They were just like sneakers in a women's size 9. That sold for $29. I got them at a pop-up consignment sale in 2021. So man, have I had these for a long time. And that's what I mean. Like, Nikes are intimidating to me, but honestly, like, all sneakers, all athletic shoes, I don't know which ones are good, which ones are popular, which ones are worth a lot of money. Some people sell things that look like this for like $250, and I don't know how they look at it and just know that that's the case. I don't have that gift when it comes to sneakers. So I definitely overpaid for these. I paid $9.96 for these, and my net profit was $13.24. And the worst thing about that, like I said, is that I have had these for basically almost 3 years, which is a really long time, but it also did feel really good when they finally sold. Also on the 13th, man. So my girl Casey came back to my eBay store. She made a purchase from me because she's just the best and just, I don't know why, like, wants to support me in this way. And I have done her dirty so many times. Like, I feel like every time she orders something, it is something that I actually don't have in stock anymore, and I don't know why. Like, it's still on eBay, or I pull it and I realize that it's damaged, or I don't know. So this particular day, she purchased 2 pairs of shoes from me, and one of the pairs of shoes, when I went to pull it, basically crumbled in my hands, like fell apart completely. They were a pair of Reeker shoes, and that is not the first time that that's happened to me with a pair of Reeker shoes. They definitely are very susceptible to dry rot, so be very careful if you find a pair of Reeker shoes. Like, really do that bend test when you're at the store. So I had to reach out to her and be like, oh my gosh, like, you probably will never buy from me again in the future, and I completely understand, because I don't know why this keeps happening to things that you buy from me. But, I explained the situation. I refunded her for that one pair of shoes. As always, she was just so understanding and so kind. So Casey, thank you. But what she did end up getting from me was this pair of Vionic Honor Ashby, which I think is the style name. And it was this pair of leopard loafers. They were made of calf hair and they were in a women's size 8.5. They had like gold hardware on them. They were just very classy. I don't know, I really liked them. These came from, I think they came from a local consignment store. I don't have it written down for some reason. Or maybe I got them at that garage sale. Regardless, I had $5 into these. They sold for $44.99. And so my net profit on that was $29.45. So Casey, thank you so much. And I'm so sorry to have failed you over and over again, but I do hope that you love those. And then on the 14th of September, which was my birthday, it was a Saturday, and on the 14th on eBay, I sold this Anthropologie Leaf Notes Blue Eyelet 1-button cropped blazer in a women's size 8. I think that this was my second time selling this item. I believe it sold for the first time on eBay, and the person got it and was just like, this is so small, like it does not fit me. So they returned it, totally fine. I listed it again and it sold for $24.90, which was an offer that I sent out to buyers. I had $4.55 into it from a local consignment store, and I purchased that in July of 2023. So I have had it for some time, but it did finally make me a net profit of $17.86. And I believe that that buyer has left me positive feedback and we're good to go. Like that sucker is not coming back to me again. So you stay put wherever you are. That is your new home now, forever and ever. And then also on the 14th on eBay, I sold this pair of Carbon 38, which is like an athletic wear line. I don't know very much about it. I feel like I've heard people talk about it. I saw it at Clothes Mentor when I went that one time in January, and I was like, I'll try it. But it was this pair of blue Padang Sayong collection crochet cutout leggings in a women's size small. That sold on eBay for $28. I had $2.80 into them, so my net profit was $20.32. Definitely took a little over half a year to sell, but the profit was pretty decent. I had very little into them. I think that that's definitely part of it, but I don't know, like maybe I'll try it again in the future, but it wasn't like as exciting as, some other brands that I've tried. And then on the 15th of September, which was a Sunday, on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Steve Madden Fania black suede leather ankle booties in a women's size 10. These were unique because they were scalloped along the top, and I had picked them up at a local Goodwill in 2022. So my friends, I've had this for a while, but I only had $3.50 into these. I think that they were half off, like they were the color tag of the week or something. And so my net profit on those was $16.50. And actually, I'm looking at my phone right now because when I was going through and doing my numbers and I was looking at the sale again, I saw a note from the buyer and she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice until I received this in the mail and got your card and everything. I didn't realize that this was from you. She was like, I watch you on YouTube. So that was pretty cool to have made that connection. But her name is Christine. So Christine, thank you so much for your purchase, and I'm glad that you love those boots. And then the last sale of the week, thankfully we're going to end with a really good one, and it was on Poshmark. It was this pair of New Balance Numeric 22 white gum leather skateboarding sneakers in a men's size 13. So these are pretty specialized skateboarding shoes. You don't see them as often. They were pretty big, and I got these in June at a local consignment store during their birthday sale. So what you do during the birthday sale is you just fill as much stuff as you can inside of like a regular shopping bag, and they charge a certain amount per bag. And then if you go back like later in the week, because the sale starts on a Sunday, if you go back like the following Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, the price per bag comes down. And I think that I got these on the first day of the sale. So my cost of goods for that first day was $2.85 per item. These sold for $65, and so my net profit was $49.15, and they only took a couple of months to sell. So those are some of my favorite types of sales, right? Like things that bring me almost $50 of profit in just a handful of months. Those Lululemon pants that sold within like a week or two of being listed and brought me a profit of $68.25. This was a good 2 weeks, and that's why even though it's not as good as I've had in years past, I'm still going to take the V because we've been on that struggle bus for a long time. I feel like 2024 has not been kind to me. So I'm going to allow myself to revel in this victory and feel really good about it. So let's talk about my numbers, shall we? For those 2 weeks of sales, I had one Depop sale, for a gross sales amount of $20. My cost of goods was $3 and my net profit was $9.80. On Mercari, I had 2 sales for a gross sales amount of $62. My cost of goods was $9.99, and so my net profit was $52.01. I had 9 Poshmark sales for a gross sales amount of $258. My cost of goods was $35.45, and my net profit was $170. Here's what's pretty shocking to me, because honestly, I've always kind of thought of myself as a Poshmark seller who also sells on eBay and other platforms. But eBay has been stepping up in a very big way. Where I sold 9 items on Poshmark, I sold 16 on eBay. And where I had a gross sales amount of $258 in Poshmark, I had a gross sales amount of $621.81 on eBay in these 2 weeks. My cost of goods was higher too, of course. It was $71.69, but my net profit was $372.27 on eBay, which was more than double what I made on Poshmark. So here is my little kick in the butt to you if you're only selling on Poshmark or if you're only selling on Mercari. I know eBay's scary. It is. It took me a long time to get over there, but it is worth getting on eBay and listing on eBay and selling on eBay because you're just opening yourself up to a much bigger audience. Yes, it's scary. Yes, returns and stuff can be annoying. Yes, shipping is harder than it is on Poshmark, but as you can see, it's worth it. Numbers do not lie. I personally find it easy now to list to eBay because I use a Chrome extension called List Perfectly. It allows me to quickly cross list from one platform to another. And if you want to try it out, I do have a link for it down in the description below. And my coupon code is BECKYPARK, which will allow you to save 30% off of your first month. I think that's a really nice and easy way to do it. You can obviously start selling on eBay without any cross-listing software, but I think that's the fastest way to do it. And I think that you definitely make your money back on that initial monthly fee just from the extra sales that you get from being over on eBay. And if you want a little bit more help on how to sell on eBay, I have a video right here that you can check out that shows you some of the mistakes that I used to make that you should try to avoid when you start selling on eBay yourself. And I have a ton of different videos about how to sell on eBay, so I will actually just also put a playlist right here for you to check out. But let's talk about my total numbers for the week, shall we? So in total, I sold 28 items, and more than half of those were from eBay. My gross sales amount for the 2 weeks was $961.81. My cost of goods was $120.13, and so my net profit was $604.08. Again, these are far from the numbers I used to post even like 2, 3, 4 years ago, but it's with less effort and it's with the current economic climate, right? So I'm happy with that. I'm proud of that, especially given how stinky some of these previous months have been. I'm thankful. So hopefully that is a sign that things are looking up. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you got anything out of it, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want to check out more What Sold videos, there is a playlist right here that you can check out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!